we begin, these classes are intended for the general public. So if you have a specific question related to a doctrine or ordinance work in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you can certainly direct that to us at the email shown on the on our website or through virtual help. And again, we'd like to welcome you, and we'll turn the time over to Sister Sorensen for her presentation on the wiki. And this is the second of that series. So if you didn't get a chance to see the first one, it should be in our archive by now, or will be shortly. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's really great to be with you. I've been really enjoying doing these research wiki classes. It's been a lot of fun to learn even more about the wiki than I did before. So today we're going to start with a little bit digging deeper, a little deeper into the research wiki. There's so much there that you can't cover it all in even 2 or 3 classes. So today's class is about using the research resources that you'll find on the wiki. And of course, this is the picture of the wiki homepage. So just to reiterate, probably most of you already know this, but I'm just going to give you again how to get to the wiki. So when you're on the homepage of, this is actually the old homepage, but when you're on the homepage of the Family Search Family Tree, you'll click on that search up there at the top where you can see the arrow pointing down, and then it will come down to the menu, go to the bottom and search for the research wiki and click on that. And then that will take you to that page that was on the first slide that we saw there. So you can also type it into the just wiki.familysearch.org into the address bar of your browser. It'll take you there. Or you can create a bookmark. I always recommend doing bookmarks on your browser toolbar so you can go to things you use a lot with one click. So what is the Family Search Research Wiki? It's the source that contains information for genealogy research. It tells you how to find data, where to find data, how to analyze data, how to use data. So these are some of the ways that you can find information on the wiki through databases that they have. There are links to many databases. There are links to many websites. There are a lot of other resources, articles, and so on about how to use those databases and websites. There's research strategies and tools. We'll be talking about that next week, or not next week, but the next class that I give. It'll be just on that, just research strategies and tools. There's genealogical guidance, how to do things. Those are kind of sort of a tool as well, and strategies. Genealogy record types, we've already talked about those in a couple of other classes, where to find them, how to use them. And then locality pages and topic pages. So these are the different kinds of resources that are available for information. The Family Search Research Wiki is focused on where genealogical materials are located. It also gives you actual certain amount of genealogical materials that are related to how to use them, but it's mostly about where they're located and how to get access to them. And usually that's through links. So it focuses on the materials that are actually in the familysearch.org site, or also on other information and databases and things that are in other websites that could be called online genealogy sites. So it isn't just about familysearch.org. It's got lots of other different website information there. Materials that are not in familysearch.org or any other online genealogy site can also be found there sometimes, because it's maybe not available online, but they'll tell you about it, or tell you perhaps how to write a letter to get to it, or if it's in an archive, they'll give you the address of the place that you can go to. And then also materials that have been up to this time unknown or newly discovered and are now available are oftentimes mentioned in articles on the wiki. So right at this present moment, as we speak, there are 99,686 articles available on the Research Wiki. So there are so many things that you can find on the wiki that almost every subject that you want to find that has to do with genealogy will be there. Now, this is a little pro tip I gave you last week as well. It's a very, very good little tool that Microsoft Edge has provided. It's the Microsoft Collections tool. It's on the toolbar. I didn't put the whole toolbar up, but if you look where my arrow is, you can see there's those two little black, they're either black or white, they're little boxes with a plus on it. If you click on that, this will come up. It will tell you, it will ask you a couple questions if you've never used it before. So then you can put any page into a file in this collection. So you'll maybe have 10 or 20 pages in a particular file. It's just really a way to use your favorites without having to deal with all the file thing that we've usually had to in the past. I really, really like it. It's great. You can get to the websites from there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today on research resources are the two most important ones. That's websites and databases. So we'll start with websites. And the question is, what is a website? Most people know that, of course. It's a collection of web pages. So on the internet, when you bring up an image, like for example, the wiki homepage, that's actually a page within the website. Each website usually has a home page, and that will give you information about the site and certain menus and site maps and things like that. And then it will also give you links to the web pages that the site contains. So each of the web pages that is within that site, you can get to somehow or another, usually from the home page. It will also sometimes give you links to other websites. So every website has its own web address, or uniform or universal. Some people use uniform, some people use universal, but uniform resource locator of the website. So for example, familysearch.org is the URL for Family Search Family Tree. The website itself is Family Search Family Tree, and then when you get there, each one of the individual pages, including your own profile page, is a web page. Each page also has its own URL. So if you ever want to share a page, a wiki page or whatever, with someone else, you can, or save that URL, it will take you back to that particular page. And if you're on a page that has URLs in a list and they're highlighted, underlined, highlighted, you can click on that URL and it will take you to that page on the internet. It doesn't matter whether it's in Family Search or anywhere else. So you can always get to the website URL by clicking on the page in Family Search, or in other places as well, of course. So these are some examples of other genealogy websites that do similar things to what Family Search does with websites and databases. There's familysearch.org, Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, so, anything like that that is a compiled genealogy. In other words, they have a lot of different genealogies within their pages. Then there's genwiki.com, Billion Graves, Roots Web, Cindy's List is a really great resource, US Gen Web, and Jenny-Annette, and many, many more. This is just a very, very small example of the different types of genealogy websites. And you can find a lot of these actually with their own articles on the wiki. So now, how do you find the websites that you're looking for on the Research Wiki? It contains a lot of links, so that will take you to those outside websites, but you have to be aware. Some of them require a fee or a subscription even to use, but there are a lot of websites online that are free to search, at least, even if you can't get the actual information out. But they're free to search, and you can see if there are names that your names are in there, and then you can pay for whatever it is that you want. You can also, some of them have informational pages that you can just go to and read. There are links to databases that are contained in certain websites as well on the Research Wiki, but there are also links to informational websites. So this isn't just databases. Informational websites, you can get links to libraries and archives, genealogical societies, genealogical communities, and really anything on the online that's important enough that people think that they should put it on the wiki. So there's lots of stuff there. So how do you find the website? Well, I'm going to give you a few different ways to do that. So the first one is the easiest, just type in websites, and then you get a really big list, and you can just look through the list, or you can narrow it down however you want to add whatever you want to add in your search bar. Now this is the actual, when you search, this is the page that will come up with articles that are being searched. If you type in a locality and then click on whatever comes up in the search bar on the wiki homepage, it will come up to that page. But if you just search websites, for example, this will come up, and if you scroll down there'd be a really large list there. So the second thing you can do, number 2, is to type in the location that you want and websites. So you can see I typed in Germany websites. There's actually a page named Germany websites on the wiki, so you can click on that one. Or there's other town genealogies that have Germany websites that are related to Germany. And I typed in Netherlands websites, and this article is the article about the Netherlands websites. So you can see it has Wie was wie, some archives, family search, Jenny and know-how. And so it gives you several different websites just by name. And then you can also look at cemeteries, blogs, and so on. So if you type in whatever country plus websites, that's really actually is good. If there's a list of those on its own article, it will bring up the actual article. A third way to do it is you type in category. We'll talk more about category when we talk about some other things next time, but category is a really good tool on the research. You type in category with a colon, and you can do this on a lot of other search engines as well. Category with a colon, and then whatever your topic is. And then it comes up with a bunch of topics that are within that category. So if you type in category websites, or category, say Germany, your location websites, or category genealogical websites, it will bring up several different lists. So the first one you can see here is category websites over here on this side. Oops, right, sorry. And that brought up several different articles. The second one was major genealogy websites, which is actually probably a lot more. I don't know why it brought up contributors to Find a Grave, but I guess just because it had the page website thing on there. The other one is the Germany websites, where you could see category. There is actually a page named category Germany websites. Now, if you do a category page, if you clicked on that, it would come up with a bunch of different pages that you can then go click from in that particular category. The fourth one is to type in the websites, just this name, websites for family history beginners. If you haven't really been doing family history very long, this is actually a really nice article to look at, because it gives you a whole bunch of different types of websites that you can look at. And then it also gives you links to go to those. So it gives you types like electronic family trees and family websites, research aids, directories of genealogical websites. That takes you to another place that has a whole list of websites, maps and gazetteers, all kinds of things there. So that's really great. That's a really great resource to just know what kinds of websites are online. And then fifth, you can type this page in, type in locating genealogical websites. And this has that websites for family history beginners as a link, you can see right here. But it also gives you some information about Google. This is a really good bit of information about how to search for websites on Google. It also gives you a link to genealogylinks.net, which is a 50,000 genealogy links for specific locations worldwide. And the last one is Family Tree Magazine. This is, I've read this article. It's pretty good actually too, especially if you're not a super advanced genealogist. So this is a very good little page here. If you look down at the bottom of the pages of any page, you'll see that categories right there, and it will tell you what category this belongs in. It's category beginners, and then category major genealogy websites. So then you can, if you want to keep that category in mind, you can write it down or whatever, so you can go back to it sometimes. All right, so 6, there are lots of location and research helps pages that if they come up, they will actually contain a section within the page that has links to relevant websites. So for example, on this Netherlands research tools, it's got a list of research tools, but it also has down here VIVASV, which is one of the best indexes for Dutch research. Open Arch, which is another index, and Genealogy. My husband speaks Dutch, I don't, so I'm not going to try to say that one. Genealogie werkbalk. And so anyway, that's the kind of thing you'll find there. Same on the Belgium, you can see, and also in Canada. So a lot of these, especially the major countries that have already had a lot of work done, and there's a lot of stuff online, you'll find these within the actual country page. And then another thing you can do is type in subscription websites or subscription websites available at the Family History Library. There are a lot of websites that you cannot get to without paying. That's just the way it is. It costs them money to get those websites digitized and online, and they need to be able to charge people so that they can recoup that money and use it for getting other records online. So, you know, we kind of expect things to be free online, but nothing's really free. So if you type in subscription websites, it'll come up with a list of many of the subscription websites that are available online. And then if you type in subscription websites that are available at the Family History Library, this is talking about the one in Salt Lake City, it will give you a list, as you can see here, of sites that have been, the church has made a, with Family Search, through Family Search, has made a contract with these so that we can have them in our library in Salt Lake. We can have the availability there. So to anybody who comes into the library, but you do have to go to the library. Some of them, a few of the subscription sites are also available at Family History Library centers in the States and other places around in the country. So they might be available there. You can always ask. But there's a lot of stuff that's available at the Family History Library on subscription that you can sometimes, there are different ways. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but there are different ways to get it, to not be able to, if you can't like fly to Salt Lake for it, there are different ways that you can get it. So databases is the next resource that we're going to talk about. What is a database and what does it contain? So a database, as opposed to a website, it's just a collection of information. It's been organized, hopefully, for rapid search and retrieval. So if you go to a database, you want to be able to find the data that's in that database. And this isn't just true of genealogy. There are a zillion different kinds of databases online. And they can be online, they can be offline. You can have a database on your own computer if you keep track of certain things that you want to keep track of. You can have a combination online and offline. So some things are not online. Some databases have user fees, some are free to use online. Sometimes different databases can have the same information as other databases. So they maybe have, like, for example, a lot of the databases that are online for genealogy have same information and even the same images and so on that Family Search has because of various reasons they've shared or they've gotten them in other ways. So they may overlap. Now, genealogically speaking, databases usually contain names and dates, and that's pretty much what you'll find in the databases. However, there are lots and lots of different specific events that you can find dates and places for. So it doesn't just mean births, deaths, and marriages, okay? It means just about anything that could happen in a person's life. You'll find a database about them if they're available. So it contains source information. You're trying to find sources that prove that so-and-so is your ancestor. There's where you're going to find it, is in the database. So it contains source information about genealogy records, which can provide valuable clues to your ancestors. Now, you see that big old yellow warning sign there. That's because genealogical databases are not necessarily that accurate all the time. Number one, the originals may be wrong. Number two, the transcriptions may be wrong. Number three, the indexing may be wrong. And number four, if it's a compiled genealogy, particularly, or a history, particularly a history of the colonial United States, there's gonna be errors in there, okay? Because of humanity, just people being human. We're not always accurate. People use the best information that they can find themselves. And so particularly with compiled genealogies, you really need to be careful of those databases, because I have discovered so many really egregious mistakes that people make in compiled genealogies. And one example, it's not mine, it's my husband's. Someone had one of his ancestors having been born in Mali because the town happened to be the same name as a town in Holland. So that's the kind of thing you have to really be careful of. Don't take anybody's word for it. That's my motto when I use compiled genealogies. Don't take anybody's word for it. Okay, so databases. These are some examples of online databases. Up here in the left-hand corner, you have the US military records. Those are databases that will take you to online military records for the United States. On the right, you see online databases here. These are some Irish databases that are available for a certain time period. In the middle, you have the category Swedish research databases. Now, this is, I looked under category, and you can see how that works now. So you have Begravda, Sveriga, and these other databases here, population register, and then some specific ones that are census type databases. So that category search can actually be really just real quick and helpful. There's also this particular page, I just put the title there, Major Databases for Beginning United States Research. So these aren't all the databases, but it has a good list of United States research databases. And then this right here on the right at the bottom is just a group of genealogical resource files that you can look at to find information. So there are lots of different kinds. And, you know, to make a list of all the different kinds of genealogy databases would waste our time. So I'm just going to tell you lots of different kinds, search for them, find them, and they're definitely available, and you'll find them extremely useful for your work. So how do you use a database then? These are just some general tips of how to search, okay? The first thing is, it depends on the database, but most of the time I enter just a little bit of information. So like I enter the country first, especially on the wiki. I enter the country first, and then if there's no matches, but there'll always be a match on the country generally in the wiki. But if you're searching a database in particular and you only know, for example, the county, put the county in, and or the country and the county, and then you'll maybe find something that will take you to that particular county's databases. If you get too many, and you often will when you start with really general information like that, you'll get like, you know, on Google, sometimes it says 1 million, some 100,000 matches. You probably won't do that in a database, but you may get a lot of matches, especially on Family Search, you'll get a lot of matches. If you get too many matches, then add another more detailed piece of information, whether it's a date that's a little narrower or whatever, and then repeat the search and slowly add more information until you come to the number of matches that you think you can deal with. If your search doesn't locate any data at all for you that you can use, then remove most of the details in your search request. Again, go back to the general and try again. Or you can try variant name spellings. A lot of places, in fact, I would say probably every country that I'm aware of, if there's a name, it's going to have more than one spelling, and you never know what spelling is going to come up in a record. So try variant name spellings in your search requests. You can use wildcard name searches a lot of times. Not every database will let you do that. But if you can use a wildcard, which means an asterisk, like so you put in the 2 or 3, however many you think are exactly right of the name, for example, and then you put in an asterisk and then search, it will often search for everything in the database that has those in that order, those letters in that order, and then whatever comes after that will be just random, whatever is in the database. So those can be really helpful, particularly on things like Myers Gazetteer, where you're looking for a specific town, but you don't know exactly how it was spelled. Okay, so on locating online databases on the research wiki itself, the wiki is not the catalog. Okay, so you're not going to find the same kinds of things in the wiki that you would find if you did a catalog search. It's not supposed to take the place of the catalogs on other databases either. So it's not a catalog. It's just it's an informational website just to find where you can go to find those things. But it does often, and almost always in fact, it does provide a general description of any collection that they have a link for. So I would always read the descriptive notes about the collection first before you go to the collection to learn about what it actually offers, because it may save you some time. Now, these are a couple of tips about that. Not all databases contain a complete copy of all the existing or known records in the collection that they say they have. That's even true of Family Search because of various reasons, but they don't all contain a complete copy of everything in the collection for various reasons. Some databases show digitized copies of original documents. Now, some will not. Some you can see the original copy of it. Others, they just won't let you go and look at it. So just be aware of that. Some databases are only indexes. They're indexes of genealogical information. Like, for example, there's a world database that has lots of information that's usually not super accurate, but they just found these things in documents and stuck them in there under the names. And sometimes they can be actually kind of helpful, even if they're not completely accurate. So be careful. They can, and they often do, contain errors, but they can actually be helpful because they can sort of help you guess better. Some collections are still being digitized. The Family Search collection has all been digitized. It's just not all uploaded yet. So that's what's happening there. And some collections haven't even finished digitizing certain records that people are doing online. Family Search doesn't have every single record that's ever been made. So, you know, you have to still look other places that are still working on their digitization. Some collections could be digitized like Family Search, but they're not necessarily indexed. They're not necessarily uploaded. It's going to take a long, long time to index all the stuff that Family Search has been able to digitize. You can help do that by getting online on Family Search, clicking on Get Involved, and doing some indexing when you have a few minutes. Some collections are only partially gathered together. They don't have all the collections materials from all the different locations that they're going to look for. So they may be incomplete as well. So it's, you know, it's easy to get impatient because we've gotten so used to being able to use the internet for everything. We put something in and it instantly comes up, but we're still working on it. It's still a work in progress. So for everybody, we just have to be patient. Things will be coming on and coming on and coming on, and it will eventually, you know, maybe when our kids are grown up or something. And eventually we hope will provide every little bit of information that you possibly could want to look for. Okay, so now how do you start with a database? This is just a little bit to go backwards, just a little bit to what we did last week. Review your research goal or your question, and always start with low-hanging fruit. That's a kind of a genealogy thing, low-hanging fruit. In other words, find the easiest person to research. Find the person that's closest to you, that you have the most information about, or find the easiest question to answer first. Don't go to 1640 and try to find so-and-so and research that guy, because that is definitely not low-hanging fruit. Okay, so start with your low-hanging fruit. Find all the spelling variations of names. There are websites that you can find, and you can find on the wiki, that tell you variations of spellings of names in different countries, and give you lists and lists and lists and lists of all different names and which countries use which names. It's a really awesome tool. You can also figure out the smallest place, and that's by using maps and gazetteers. So find the smallest place for the event and find the larger jurisdiction. So don't just find the town, because that's not really going to be very helpful. You need to find the town, and then the parish, for example, and then the next up would be the civil registration district, or the deanery. This is in Britain. And then the next thing up would be the province. The next thing is the 100. So you just go up and up and find as many jurisdictions and see where they might have registered something. That's why you find those jurisdictions, so that you know where they may have been registered. And then the last thing you're going to do there is figure out the best guess of a date. So if you don't know exact dates, figure out the best guess for that. And if you look down at the bottom, I gave you there's a little Family Search Wiki article there called How to Guess Where to Start. So if you can't figure out, now what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I don't know this exact name. I don't know this exact place. I don't know this exact date. That will tell you, kind of give you some tips on how to actually guess those things. Guessing is a really important thing in genealogy. And then the last thing you're going to do is decide which record types you're going to use. So what kind of a database are you actually even looking for to find the answer to your genealogy question? Okay. So this is really something cool that I found on the wiki. It's a resource checklist. So this checklist has all these, as you can see, if you go down on the left here on this navigation bar, it has all these plus more. That's not all of them. Resources that you can find of different types. And then on the underneath there, this is the checklist itself. It gives you a checklist of all those different kinds within the different kinds. You can see just on personal and family records. Have you checked all the account books? Have you checked the business records? All right, so you can drive yourself crazy looking at this and thinking, I'll never be able to look at all these things. But, if you really are serious and you really want as much information about a person as you can find, this will be really helpful for you to decide what kinds of things you're looking for. Then another one that's really helpful with that, a little bit quicker and just general, is this is the page called A Guide to Research. Okay, so if I mentioned this last week too, A Guide to Research. At the bottom of that particular page, which is a really helpful page, especially for beginners, there's a section called Selecting Record Types, and it lists 25 questions that you might have, age, birth date, and so on, about a person, and the records that will help you get the information about those particular questions or objectives that you have to in your research goal. So that can also be really helpful to help you. What kinds of databases am I looking for? So now, where do you go from there? So you can go several directions to find databases on the wiki. The first thing is to just search the wiki page called Online Genealogy Records by Location. There's an actual page that has that information on it. It is the best thing, if you ask me, for finding the genealogy records. Okay, this page includes a link to the online genealogy records page for each major location on the wiki. So you don't have to go to the page and then look for it and then go to that page. It just gives you a really comprehensive list. And it also gives links to each subdivision that's on the wiki, such as states or provinces or départements. Okay. So from those pages, then when you get to the country page or whatever database page you're on, then you can go to the smaller subdivisions, okay? Counties, parishes, and churches and things like that. So if you click on, or if you search online, you can see up here, online genealogy records by location. This is what comes up, this page right here. And I would keep this page on your favorites bar as well, so that you can click to it like that. This tells you, it gives you a special section just for the United States, and then it has all the international records that are in the wiki. Okay, so I'm going to click here. You can see the arrow on Mexico and Central America online genealogy records. So then it takes me to that. This is still on the same page. It takes me down to the Mexico and Central America online genealogy records. It tells me which countries there are genealogy records for. And then I click on Mexico online genealogy records. And then I go to a new page, and this is the online genealogy records. Now you can get to this page as well from the Mexico page. Okay. You can get to it from the Mexico page, but this is the page it will take you from if you go from that online genealogy records by location. All right. The other way you can get to that same page, and you can see that same page on the right, is to search for the location of your country that you're looking for. So if you know specifically, I'm going to go to Mexico, you type in Mexico online genealogy records. It takes you to Mexico genealogy, as you can see below it. There's a blue button and a purple button below there. We've talked about both of those before. Click on the blue button, and that will take you to that same page again, that online genealogy records page. So it's just this two ways to get to the exact same page. Okay. This has fewer, the first one has fewer steps than the second one. So you can also search for that, for these records by going to the jurisdiction pages on your country page. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So here we have jurisdictions on this page, the Mexico genealogy page. You can go to one of the jurisdiction pages there. As you can see right here at the top, click on the jurisdiction. The jurisdiction is Hidalgo. And that will take you down to the Hidalgo Mexico genealogy page itself. And then you can click on whatever church records, for example, online digital records for church records. And then it will take you to where to click for the actual records on that page. So that's still on the Hidalgo page. Okay, that won't take you to the online genealogy record page, the actual page that I showed you before. It just takes you to the records that are on that particular page. Kind of complicated, I guess, in a way, but once you get started using it, it's actually not as difficult as it seems. Okay, you can also click on record types in the topics box. Okay, the record types in the topic box, that's over here on the right where the arrow's pointing. So you can click on any of those record types. It will also take you to those links about the databases, how to use the databases, and where the links are. Okay, if you search categories, sometimes you can find helpful links. If you search category with the location and category, or category plus the location plus a topic for that location, for example, Germany online records, you can see down there at the bottom, it came up with a category of actually Germany online genealogy records. And there's several things there that I might have missed if I just looked somewhere else. There's Germany digital resources as well on the other side. You can search, for example, category Germany digital resources, and it'll take you there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can search using category, particularly, and other things. Third one, we kind of maybe have to hurry just a titch, but you can enter the name of a specific database or a type of database into the Wiki search bar. So you can actually search for a database itself, and you won't be able to search the database, but you can search for a database and see where it is. So for example, Lancashire probate records brings me to the actual Lancashire probate records page, and then also takes me down where you can see the big arrow to where I can click on that at Find My Past to get that information. Okay. You can search with the guided research page as well for that location. So type in your location guided research, and it will bring you up to the Mexico guided research page. Then you can click on Hidalgo again and come down to the Hidalgo, Mexico guided research page. And we've done that before. I showed you how to use that before. You can use the record finder page. This is actually really good. I don't think a lot of people know about this one. So if you search location, for example, Mexico again, record finder, or category record finder, you can search for your location under the category part, or you can, it'll just bring you up to whatever location you typed in. So on Mexico record finder, if you go down below it, you can see that's the record finder right there, record finder table for Mexico, and you can just kind of search through that, but the record finder table will take you to the databases. Or you can search for category record finder, as you can see, and then click on the one that you want. So you would be probably surprised to know that there are actually Afghanistan records available, and you can find them on the record finder table for Afghanistan. So I kind of like the category record finder better if I'm doing more than one country's research. But if you're just, you know, concentrating on one particular country for a while, then you can just use the Mexico or Britain or whatever. This is how the record finder page will look for any country. Okay, it just gives you all the vital events, the maiden names, if they're available, immigration, anything that's available, they will give you the table for. And when you click on that, it will take you to to the page that shows you where to go to find those records. So if I clicked on immigration and immigration up there on the top, then it took me to the Mexico Immigration and Immigration page. Then I can click on Archivo General de Indias. Okay, so it's again, it looks really complicated. Just try it. It's really not as complicated as it seems. So have fun, and do use our library for family history help. If you want to have me or somebody else walk you through how to use these pages that I showed you, or how to get to them, or you know what they mean, or anything else, you're welcome to call the library or to have a Zoom conference during our business hours. We love to help you. Do you have any questions?
I don't see any, Sister Sorensen.
Looks like Barbara has her hand up, and Barbara, if you have a question, if you'd stick it in the Q&A or the chat.
So's they got it now. So's Beth Snyder.
We have two that have raised their hands.
We can't.
Okay, I can see those questions now. Let's see. I think, can I? No, they're just to you, Elder Anderton and Sister Anderton.
Yeah, I don't see any in the questions at all. I think they haven't put them there. That one was an older question. We've already answered.
Oh,
that.
okay. So I must have covered everything, huh?
Good job.
All right, well,
Thank you.
you're absolutely welcome. And I'm really happy to have been able to help everybody with their research on the wiki.